Lady Varathala Moonwhisper stood on the bridge of her ship and stared at the blue planet below. Earth looked small and weak from space. Her crystal-like skin glowed with purple light as she felt angry. These humans owed her people 47 trillion galactic credits. Today she would take their money or take their planet. "My lady," said Commander Zektal from behind her. His voice was nervous. "The human defense platform is sending us a message." Varathala turned around. Her long, silver hair moved like water in the ship's low gravity. She had collected debts for 800 years. No one had ever said no to her. Today would be the same as always. "Put them on screen," she said. The screen lit up. A man with brown hair and kind eyes appeared. He wore a simple blue uniform with coffee stains on it. Varathala felt surprised. Where was the fear? Where was the begging? "Hello there," the man said with a smile. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison. Welcome to Earth space. Would you like some coffee?" Varathala blinked her large purple eyes. In 800 years, no debtor had ever offered her coffee. They usually cried or ran away or tried to fight. This human just smiled like they were old friends. "I am Lady Varathala Moonwhisper of the Zephyrian Empire," she said in her most scary voice. "You owe us 47 trillion credits. You will pay now or face the consequences." Captain Morrison scratched his head. 47 trillion? Wow, that's a big number. "Hey, why don't you come down to the station? We can talk about this over some donuts. My wife makes great donuts." Commander Zektal made a choking sound. "My lady, this is not normal. Humans are supposed to be afraid." Varathala felt confused. Every race in the galaxy knew the rules. When the Zephyrians came for money, you paid or you lost your world. It was that simple. But this human acted like she was just visiting for tea. "Human," she said, trying to sound more threatening. "Do you not understand? We have weapons that can destroy your planet. Your people borrowed money for terraforming equipment. The contract says we can take everything if you don't pay." "Oh, sure, I get it," Jake said. He took a sip from a coffee cup. "Look, Lady Vera, what was it again? Your name's pretty long." "Lady Varathala Moonwhisper," she said, feeling insulted. "Right. Lady Vera, here's the thing. We really want to pay you back, we do, but it's complicated. Why don't you dock at Base 7? We'll have some folks who can explain it better than me. I'm just the defense guy." The screen went dark. Varathala stared at the empty space where the human's face had been. In 800 years of debt collection, nothing like this had ever happened. Debtors were supposed to panic. They were supposed to offer everything they had. They were not supposed to invite her for coffee. "My lady," Commander Zektal said carefully, "perhaps we should just destroy them and take what we can find." Varathala thought about this. It would be easy. Her ships had better weapons and shields. But something felt wrong. The human had been too calm, too friendly, like he knew something. She didn't. "No," she said slowly. "I want to see what game they're playing. Prepare my shuttle." 20 minutes later, Varathala walked through the human space station. It was not what she expected. The walls were clean but simple. Humans in work clothes walked around doing normal jobs. Children ran and played in the corridors. No one looked scared. A woman with dark hair and smart eyes met her at the docking bay. "Lady Varathala, I'm Dr. Lisa Chen, Earth's chief economist. Captain Morrison told me you'd be coming. Follow me, please." They walked to a small room with a round table. Captain Morrison was there with donuts and coffee. 2 other humans sat at the table. One was an older man with gray hair and military medals. The other was a younger woman in a business suit. "Lady Varathala," Dr. Chen said as they sat down. "This is Admiral Ben Torres and Senator Kate Williams. We've been looking forward to meeting you." Varathala felt more confused. "You've been looking forward to meeting your debt collector?" "Oh yes," Senator Williams said with a smile. "We've heard wonderful things about Zephyrian business practices. Very traditional, very predictable." The word predictable made Varathala feel uncomfortable. She was not sure why. Dr. Chen put a cup of coffee in front of her. "Now, about that 47 trillion credits, you're absolutely right. We owe that money. The question is, what happens if we can't pay? You lose your colony. Rights, Virathala said. Standard galactic law. Right, Dr. Chen said. And if we lose our colony rights, what happens to the 17 mining companies we buy materials from? Virathala paused. What do you mean? Admiral Torres leaned forward. Well, if we can't mine, we can't buy their products. If we can't buy their products, they lose money. And, Senator Williams added, if those 17 companies lose money, they can't pay their debts to other companies. Dr. Chen smiled. It's like dominoes, Lady Virathala. One falls, they all fall. Virathala felt a cold feeling in her stomach. How many companies are we talking about? Oh, not that many, Dr. Chen said casually. Maybe 800 or so, plus the banks that lent them money, plus the governments that depend on their taxes, plus the trade routes that carry their goods. Captain Morrison bit into a donut. Funny thing about the galactic economy. Everything's connected now. Been that way for about 50 years, right around the time humans joined the galactic community. Virathala's purple skin began to glow brighter. This was not how debt collection was supposed to work. Debtors were supposed to be helpless. They were not supposed to explain how their failure would hurt everyone else. You're threatening economic warfare, she said slowly. Oh no, Dr. Chen said, looking shocked. We're not threatening anything. We're just explaining the situation. If you destroy us, lots of people lose money. If you don't destroy us, we keep buying things and paying our other debts. Your choice. Admiral Torres nodded. Of course, there is one other little detail. What detail? Virathala asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. Senator Williams opened a folder. Well, it turns out the Zephyrian Empire owns about 12 billion credits worth of human debt bonds. Through various shell companies, of course. Virathala's glow turned bright red. That's impossible. Nope, Captain Morrison said cheerfully. Your pension fund bought them 3 years ago. Great investment, really. We pay good interest rates. Dr. Chen leaned back in her chair. So if we fail, Lady Virathala, your own people lose money too. Quite a lot of money, actually. Virathala stared at the humans around the table. They all looked calm and friendly, like they were discussing the weather instead of the collapse of galactic civilization. For the first time in 800 years, Lady Virathala Moonwhisper didn't know what to do. Jake stared at the tall figure in strange armor. His mind tried to make sense of what was happening. People did not sleep for 800 years. People did not have golden eyes. People did not climb out of metal boxes and talk about enemies. This is not real, Jake said out loud. I hit my head or something. This is just a dream. Zeth looked at Jake with what might have been pity. I understand your confusion, human. Your people have forgotten much. But this is not a dream, and we do not have time for slow explanations. Zeth walked around Jake's garage, looking at everything with great interest. They picked up a wrench and examined it closely. They looked at Jake's computer and nodded like they understood it. Your technology is more advanced than I expected, Zeth said. Good. That will help us. Help us do what? Jake asked. And what do you mean my people have forgotten? Forgotten what? Zeth turned back to Jake. Their golden eyes seemed to look right through him. Human, what do you know about your history? About the stars? About the other worlds with life? Jake felt stupid, but he answered honestly. Well, we know there might be life on other planets. We have telescopes and space stations. We sent robots to Mars, but we have never found any aliens or anything like that. Aliens? Zeth repeated the word slowly. Yes, I suppose that is what I am to you now. They looked sad. Jake Miller, humans are not from Earth alone. Once your people had cities on 100 worlds. Humans traveled between the stars like you now travel between your cities. Jake laughed, but it did not sound happy. That's crazy. We only learned to fly a little over 100 years ago. We barely made it to the moon. Sit down, Zeth said. It was not a request. I will tell you the truth, and it will be hard to believe. Jake sat down on an old car tire. Zeth remained standing, their tall form making Jake feel small. Long ago, humans discovered how to travel faster than light. Your people spread across the galaxy. making friends with other species. Humans were good at adapting to new worlds and new situations. You were also very good at fighting. Zeth paused and looked out the small window of Jake's garage at the sky. For thousands of years, humans helped keep peace in the galaxy. Then the Void Seekers came. "What are Void Seekers?" Jake asked. "Machines," Zeth said. "Ancient artificial minds that hate all living things. They travel from star to star, destroying every planet with life. They turn worlds into more machines to build more ships." Jake felt cold despite the warm, Alabama air. "What happened to the humans in space? We fought them for 300 years. Humans, aliens, everyone worked together. But the Void Seekers were too strong and too many. We were losing." Zeth walked to the metal box and put their hand on its edge. The blue lines glowed brighter for a moment. The leaders made a hard choice. They abandoned all the human colonies in space. Every human ship, every human soldier, every human family came back to Earth. Then they hid your world. "Hid it how?" Jake asked. "With technology you do not understand yet. They made Earth invisible to the Void Seekers. They also did something else. They made humans forget about the stars." Jake stood up quickly. "That's impossible. You cannot make an entire planet forget." "Not forget exactly," Zeth said. "They slowed down your development. They put limits on how fast you could advance. Instead of keeping your space technology, humans had to start over. The few who remembered the truth went to sleep in places like this box." Jake looked at the metal container. "How many people are sleeping?" "Hundreds. Maybe thousands. We were supposed to wake up when the danger was over and help humans return to the stars. But something went wrong. I should have awakened 50 years ago." Zeth touched something on their armor. A blue screen appeared in the air showing pictures and numbers that Jake could not read. "The system that hides Earth is failing," Zeth said. "The Void Seekers have found your world. They will come to destroy it." Jake felt like the floor was moving under his feet. "When?" "Soon. Maybe 6 months. Maybe less." Zeth looked at Jake directly. "That is why you woke me. The emergency systems detected the failing shields and activated my box." "But why me?" Jake asked. "I'm just a mechanic. I fix cars and lawnmowers. I'm not a soldier or a scientist." "Your blood opened the box," Zeth said. "That means you have the old genes. Somewhere in your family line, you are descended from the humans who went to the stars." Jake sat back down on the tire. This was too much to understand. "So what happens now?" "Now we prepare for war," Zeth said. "We must find the other sleepers and wake them. We must rebuild human technology. We must ready Earth's defenses." "The government will never believe this," Jake said. "Then we will have to make them believe," Zeth replied. "Show me your communication devices. I need to understand how your current technology works." Jake led Zeth to his computer. Zeth looked at the screen and keyboard with interest. They touched the keyboard, and suddenly, the screen filled with information that Jake had never seen before. "How did you do that?" Jake asked. "Old programs sleeping in your networks," Zeth said. "The people who hid Earth left tools for when this day came." They pointed at the screen. "Here. These are the locations of other sleep chambers." Jake looked at the map on his screen. Red dots appeared all over the world. There were 12 in the United States alone. "We start with the closest one," Zeth said. "It is 300 miles from here, under a mountain in Tennessee." "How do we get there?" Jake asked. "My truck can barely make it to the next town." Zeth smiled for the first time since waking up. "Your people may have forgotten the stars, but you still know how to build things. We will take your truck, but first we will improve it." Zeth walked back to the metal box and reached inside. They pulled out a device that looked like a silver ball. When they touched it, the ball opened up like a flower, showing a complex machine inside. "This is a molecular fabricator," Zeth said. "It can change any material into any other material. We will use it to upgrade your vehicle." Jake watched as Zeth attached the device to his truck's engine. Blue light surrounded the motor and Jake could hear the metal changing. The sound was like singing. "What is it doing?" Jake asked. "Making your engine more efficient. Strengthening the frame. Adding shielding. When it is finished, your truck will be able to travel at 300 miles per hour and protect us from most weapons." Jake thought about his poor old pickup truck traveling at 300 miles per hour. Will it still look like a truck? From the outside, yes. Humans must not panic. If they see obviously alien technology, they will be afraid. Fear makes people do stupid things. The blue light faded, and Zeth removed the device. Jake's truck looked exactly the same, but when he started the engine, it sounded completely different. Instead of the rough rumble, it purred like a sleeping cat. "Jake Miller," Zeth said, "I know this is difficult to accept, but your people once ruled the spaces between stars. You fought battles that saved entire worlds. Humans have forgotten their strength, but it is still there." Jake looked at his truck, then at the metal box, then at Zeth. "Why should I trust you? How do I know you are telling the truth?" Zeth nodded like they had expected this question. "You should not trust me completely. But look at the evidence. You found a box that contained a living person who has been asleep for 800 years. Your truck now has an engine that runs on sunlight instead of gasoline. These things are not possible with your current science." Jake realized Zeth was right. The engine was not making any of the usual car sounds, no rumbling, no vibrations, and he had not put any gas in it. "But the real proof will come when the Void Seekers arrive," Zeth continued. "When their ships appear in your sky, you will know I was telling the truth. By then, it may be too late to prepare." Jake took a deep breath. "Okay, let's say I believe you. What exactly do you need me to do? Help me wake the others. Help me contact your government. Help me prepare your people for war." Zeth looked serious. "Most importantly, help me remember what it means to be human. I have been asleep for a very long time. I may have forgotten some things." Jake looked around his garage. A few hours ago, his biggest worry was fixing Mrs. Johnson's lawnmower. Now he was apparently humanity's contact with sleeping space warriors who needed to save Earth from robot destroyers. "This is insane," Jake said. "Yes," Zeth agreed. "But humans have always been a little insane. That is why you are good at fighting impossible enemies." Jake picked up his keys and walked toward his transformed truck. "Well, I guess we should go wake up some space soldiers." "Jake," Zeth said as they climbed into the truck. "Thank you. I know you have no reason to trust me or help me, but you are doing it anyway. That is very human." Jake started the engine and felt the truck respond like it was eager to run. "Don't thank me yet. Ask me again after we save the world." Lord Commander Rextal Voidbane arrived with 20 warships and an attitude that could freeze stars. His ship was 3 times bigger than Verathala's, covered in black metal and bristling with weapons. When he called her to his flagship, Verathala knew she was in trouble. "Verathala," he said without looking up from his battle plans, "you have failed in a simple task. Explain yourself." Rextal was old, even by Zephyrian standards. His crystal skin had turned dark blue with age, and his eyes glowed like cold fire. He had conquered 17 worlds and never lost a battle. "Lord Commander, the situation is more complex than it appears. These humans have made you weak," Rextal said, finally looking at her. "I've read your reports. Economic interdependence, mutual dependence. Nonsense. The strong take from the weak. It's been this way for 10,000 years. But sir, if we destroy them, others will learn not to test Zephyrian patience. Prepare your ships. We attack at dawn." Verathala left the meeting feeling sick. She had tried to explain about the economic connections, the debt bonds, the investment funds. Rextal had dismissed it all as human trickery. Back on her own ship, she found an unexpected visitor waiting. A young human male with messy brown hair sat at her command console, typing rapidly on a small device. "How did you get on my ship?" she demanded. "Oh, hi," the human said without stopping his typing. "I'm Ryan Murphy, tech specialist. Your security is pretty good, but human computers think differently than alien ones. We're better at chaos. Commander Zektal, Virathala called. He's fine, Ryan said. I just turned off his door controls for a few minutes. He's having coffee with Captain Morrison. They're discussing the finer points of military strategy. Ryan finally looked up from his device. Lady Virathala, I need to show you something important. Mind if I use your main screen? Before she could answer, the large display lit up with numbers and charts. These are recordings of every Galactic Debt Council meeting for the past 5 years. Every secret discussion about who owes what to whom. That's impossible. Those meetings are encrypted with quantum security. Yeah, funny thing about quantum encryption, Ryan said with a grin. It assumes everyone thinks the same way. Humans don't. We think sideways. We think backwards. We think in ways that make quantum computers confused. The screen showed meeting after meeting. Aliens in expensive clothes discussing which worlds to conquer next, which debts to forgive, which species to enslave. And in every meeting, humans were mentioned as useful idiots who would work themselves to death paying back loans. They've been planning to use us from the beginning, Ryan said quietly. But here's the thing they didn't count on. The screen changed to show trade routes, shipping manifests, and investment records. We've been recording everything too. Every contract, every secret deal, every hidden investment, and we've been sharing it with everyone. Virathala stared at the data. You've been spying on the entire galactic government? Not spying, Ryan said. Auditing. There's a difference. Spying is secret. Auditing is just really good bookkeeping. General, Mike Stevens arrived an hour later with Senator Kate Williams and Admiral Ben Torres. They didn't ask permission to enter Varathala's ship. They just walked in like they owned it. Lady Virathala, Senator Williams said formally. We need to discuss Lord Commander Rextal's intentions. He plans to destroy your colonies and take what he can find, Virathala said honestly. We figured, General Stevens said. Question is, what do you plan to do about it? Virathala felt angry. What I plan to do? He's my superior officer. I follow orders. Admiral Torres laughed. Lady, with respect, you haven't been following orders for 2 weeks. You've been learning. There's a difference. I've been trying to understand. Exactly, Senator Williams said. You've been thinking for yourself instead of just following tradition. That's why we like you. General Stevens put a data pad on her table. These are battle plans, not for attacking us, for defending us. If Rextal wants a fight, we'll give him one, but it won't be the kind of fight he expects. You can't defeat 20 Zephyrian warships, Virathala said. Can't we? Admiral Torres asked. Ryan, show her the surprise. The young human typed on his device again. The screen now showed the space around Earth. But instead of empty space, it was filled with ships. Hundreds of ships from dozens of different species. Trade vessels, Admiral Torres explained. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining ships, research vessels. They all have business with humans. If Rextal attacks us, he attacks all of them too. That's not possible, Virathala said weakly. Senator Williams smiled. We sent out a simple message 3 days ago. Human space may be attacked by Zephyrian forces. All business partners advised to delay visits. Guess what happened? They all came at once, General Stevens said. Turns out nobody wants to lose. They're human business deals, so they all decided to conduct their business in person. Ryan pulled up another screen. And here's the really fun part. Most of these ships belong to companies that are partially owned by Zephyrian investment funds. Virathala sat down heavily. If Rextal attacks, he'll be destroying Zephyrian assets. Billions of credits worth, Admiral Torres confirmed. Plus, he'll be attacking vessels from 47 different species. That's not debt collection anymore. That's an act of war against half the galaxy. This is madness, Virathala said. No, Senator Williams said softly. This is evolution. The old way was conquest and domination. The new way is cooperation and mutual benefit. Your Lord Commander represents the old way. And you represent the new way? Virathala asked. We represent survival, General Stevens said. Ours and everyone else's. That night, Verathala stood in her quarters and stared at her reflection. Her purple skin was dim with exhaustion and worry. In 800 years, she had never questioned orders. She had collected debts, conquered worlds, and enforced Zephyrian law without doubt. But these humans had shown her something new. They had shown her that strength didn't have to mean domination, that success didn't require others to fail. Her communication system chimed. Rextal's face appeared on the screen, looking angrier than before. Verathala, I've just received intelligence that human space is full of vessels from other species. Are you aware of this? Yes, Lord Commander. Why didn't you report it? Verathala took a deep breath. Because, sir, I believe those vessels are there to protect their own interests. If we attack, we'll be attacking more than just humans. I don't care if we attack the entire galaxy. These humans will learn their place. What if their place isn't beneath us? Verathala asked quietly. Rextal's eyes flared with cold fire. What did you say? What if the humans have found a better way? What if cooperation is stronger than conquest? You've been contaminated by their weakness. Prepare your ships for battle, or I'll have you charged with treason. The screen went dark. Verathala stared at her reflection again. She thought about her people back home, their retirement funds invested in human businesses. She thought about the thousands of species whose livelihoods depended on galactic trade. She thought about the young humans she had met, with their strange ideas and sideways thinking. Then she thought about 10,000 years of tradition, of conquest and domination, of the strong ruling the weak. For the first time in 800 years, Lady Verathala Moonwhisper wondered if tradition might be wrong. Verathala met Ambassador Dan Peterson in secret at midnight. The old space station's maintenance tunnels were dark and quiet. Only the sound of air recyclers broke the silence. This is dangerous for both of us, Verathala said, looking around, nervously. Yeah, well, Dan said with a tired smile. I've been in worse spots. Used to negotiate with angry factory workers who hadn't been paid in months. Alien nobles can't be much worse than that. Dan was older than the other humans she had met. His hair was gray, his face was lined with wrinkles, and his hands were rough from years of hard work. But his eyes were sharp and kind. My people will call me a traitor if they find out I'm talking to you, Verathala said. Mine too, probably, Dan replied. But sometimes doing the right thing means breaking the rules. Tell me something, Lady Verathala. What do you really want? I want my people to be safe and prosperous, and I want the same for mine. Seems like we want the same thing. They sat on old cargo crates while Dan explained the human plan. It was crazy and complicated and completely different from anything Verathala had ever heard. You want to make Rextal look bad in front of the whole galaxy? She asked. Not make him look bad, Dan corrected. Let him show everyone what he really is. A relic from the past who doesn't understand the modern galaxy. And if he destroys your colonies in the process? Dan was quiet for a moment. That's the risk we take. But Lady Verathala, if we don't stop this cycle of conquest and debt slavery, it never ends. Someday some other species will be strong enough to do to your people what your people have been doing to everyone else. Verathala had never thought about that. The Zephyrians had been the strongest for so long, she couldn't imagine anyone challenging them. What do you need from me? She asked finally. Information, warning, and when the time comes, courage. Captain Nina Clark found them an hour later. She was a small woman with quick movements and eyes that seemed to see everything. She scared Verathala a little. Ambassador Peterson, we need to move, Nina said. Rextal's sending patrol ships. They'll find this place soon. As they walked deeper into the station, Nina explained human military thinking. We don't fight like you do. You build big ships and try to overpower your enemy. We build small, fast ships and try to outthink our enemy. Your ships are weaker than ours, Verathala said. Individually, yes. But we don't fight individually. We fight as a swarm. 1,000 small ships working together can beat 10 big ships working alone. They reached a hidden workshop where a human named Sam Johnson was working on something strange. It looked like human technology mixed with alien parts. Sparks flew as he welded pieces together. "Sam's our best engineer," Nina said proudly. "He takes alien tech and makes it better." "Better how?" Virathala asked. Sam looked up from his work. He had oil stains on his clothes and a big grin on his face. "Well, alien technology is really advanced, but it's also really predictable. You guys build things to work the same way every time. Humans build things to adapt and change." He showed her a small device that looked like a Zephyrian shield generator. "This is based on your shield technology, but I added some human improvements. Watch this." Sam activated the device. A blue energy field appeared around it just like a normal Zephyrian shield. Then Sam typed something on a small computer. Suddenly the shield changed color, then shape, then started moving in patterns. "Your shields are strong but static," Sam explained. "Our version is weaker but unpredictable. Your weapons are designed to punch through static shields. They don't know what to do with shields that dance around." Virathala stared at the moving energy field. "You're changing our own technology?" "Improving it," Sam said. "Making it more creative, more human." Over the next 3 days, Virathala learned more about human preparations. They had been getting ready for this conflict for years, not just militarily, but economically and politically too. She met with Captain Jake Morrison again. This time he didn't offer her coffee. Instead, he showed her tactical displays and battle plans. "We've been studying Zephyrian military doctrine for 50 years, Jake said. "You guys are good at what you do, but you always do the same thing. Form a battle line, advance in formation, overwhelm the enemy with superior firepower. It's been successful for 10,000 years, Virathala said, against enemies who fought the same way. But what happens when your enemy doesn't fight the way you expect?" Jake showed her recordings of human war games. Their ships moved in chaotic patterns, broke formation constantly, and seemed to attack randomly. It looked like madness. "There's no pattern," Virathala said. "Exactly. Your battle computers can't predict what we'll do because we don't follow patterns. We make it up as we go along. That's not military strategy, that's improvisation." Jake grinned. "Same thing, really. Jazz musicians improvise, but they still make beautiful music." On the 4th day, Rextal called another meeting. This time, he included Virathala in his battle planning. His commanders spread holographic displays across a large table, showing ship positions and attack vectors. "The human defense consists of approximately 200 vessels," Rextal said. "Most are civilian craft with minimal weapons. We'll destroy them in the first wave." "Sir," Virathala said carefully, "many of those civilian craft belong to companies with Zephyrian investments." "Irrelevant. Any ship that defends human space is an enemy ship. But the economic consequences..." Rextal slammed his fist on the table. "Enough! I'm tired of your obsession with economics. We are warriors, not accountants." "Sir, with respect, warriors need supplies. Supplies cost money. Money comes from investments and trade. Warriors take what they need." "From whom?" Virathala asked. "If we destroy everyone we might take from, what's left to take?" Rextal stared at her with cold fury. "You will follow orders or you will be replaced." That night, Virathala made her choice. She sent a coded message to Ambassador Peterson. "The attack begins at dawn. 3 formations. Flagship in the center. May the stars forgive us all." Then she called her own ship's officers together. "Commander." Zektal and her other loyal followers gathered in her quarters. "My friends," she said slowly, "tomorrow we face a choice. We can follow tradition and probably destroy the galactic economy. Or we can try something new." "My lady," Commander Zektal said nervously. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe these humans are right. Maybe there's a better way than conquest and domination. The Lord Commander will have us executed for treason," one of her officers said. "Maybe. Or maybe he'll be too busy explaining to the High Council why he started a war with half the galaxy." Virathala looked at each of her officers. These were people who had served with her for decades. people she trusted with her life. "I won't order you to follow me," she said finally. "This choice has to be yours. But I believe the humans have shown us something important. They've shown us that the strong don't have to rule the weak. They can work together instead." Commander Zektal was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "My lady, you saved my life during the Andromedan conflict. If you believe these humans are right, then I believe it too." One by one, her other officers nodded agreement. They were with her, whatever came next. As dawn approached, Verithala stood on her bridge and watched Rextal's fleet form battle lines. 20 massive warships, each one capable of destroying a planet, the most powerful force the Zephyrian Empire had assembled in 50 years. And arrayed against them, 200 human and alien ships of every size and description. Cargo haulers, research vessels, mining ships, passenger liners. The entire galactic economy floating in space, defended by creatures who thought sideways and refused to follow the rules. "Lord Commander Rextal is hailing all ships," her communications officer reported. "Put him on screen," Verithala said. Rextal's face appeared, looking as cold and deadly as a winter storm. "All ships, prepare for attack. Today we remind the galaxy that the Zephyrian Empire does not negotiate with debtors." Verithala looked at her officers one last time. Then she made the decision that would change galactic history forever. "Lord Commander," she said formally, "I respectfully request that you reconsider this attack. Request denied. Prepare to advance. Then I respectfully decline to participate." The silence on the communication channel was deafening. When Rextal spoke again, his voice was barely controlled rage. "What did you say?" "I said I decline to participate in this attack. My ships will not fire on civilian vessels. You treacherous fool. I'll have you—" Verithala cut the communication. Around her, the bridge crew waited for her orders. "All ships," she announced. "This is Lady Verithala Moonwhisper. We are withdrawing from the battle line. We will not participate in this attack." On her tactical display, she watched 5 of her escort ships break formation and move away from Rextal's fleet. 5 ships choosing cooperation over conquest. The real battle was about to begin. Rextal's attack began exactly as human military planners had predicted. 15 massive Zephyrian warships formed a perfect battle line and advanced at steady speed toward the human defense fleet. Their weapons charged, their shields glowed, and their formation never wavered. "All human ships," Admiral Ben Torres announced over open channels. "Execute Operation Sideways." Verithala watched from her position between the 2 fleets as the human ships suddenly scattered like startled birds. There was no pattern, no formation, no military order at all. Some ships dove down, others climbed up, and a few just spun in circles. "What are they doing?" Commander Zektal asked in confusion. "I have no idea," Verithala admitted. Rextal's fleet fired their main weapons at where the human ships had been a moment before. The energy beams cut through empty space, hitting nothing. The human ships had moved in ways that Zephyrian battle computers couldn't predict. "Impossible," Rextal's voice crackled over the communication channels. "They have no formation. No strategy." "Maybe that is their strategy," Verithala said quietly. The human ships regrouped behind the Zephyrian fleet, but not in any formation Verithala recognized. They looked like a swarm of insects, moving in chaotic patterns that made her eyes hurt to watch. "All Zephyrian vessels," came a new voice. It was President Helen Carter of the Human Colonial Federation. Her voice was calm and professional. "You are attacking civilian vessels engaged in lawful commerce. Please withdraw immediately." "Human leader," Rextal replied with contempt, "you will surrender immediately or face complete destruction." "I'm sorry, but I can't do that," President Carter said. "You see, we have a small problem." "What problem?" "Well, it turns out that when you threatened to attack human space, every major corporation in the galaxy decided to move their assets here for protection. If you destroy us, you destroy about 60% of galactic commerce." Rextal's voice grew even colder. "Threats will not save you." "Oh, this isn't a threat," President Carter said cheerfully. This is just an accounting problem. Ryan, could you share those numbers? The young human's voice came over the channel next. Sure thing, President Carter. Lord Commander Rextal, your current attack is targeting vessels worth approximately 400 trillion galactic credits. These vessels belong to companies from 47 different species. I don't care about commerce, Rextal shouted. That's funny, Ryan continued, because the Zephyrian Empire's Treasury Department cares a lot. They own stock in most of these companies through various investment funds. New voices began speaking on the communication channels. Voices from different species, all sounding very worried. This is Trade Director Veltar of the Centauri Mining Consortium. Lord Commander, you are about to destroy our entire shipping fleet. This is Financial Minister Kektos of the Andromedan Banking Union. Sir, our investments in human businesses total over 50 billion credits. This is enough, Rextal screamed. I don't care about your investments. Attack formation, advance. But when Rextal's ships tried to advance, something strange happened. Several of his own vessels didn't respond to orders. Their captains were refusing to attack vessels that belonged to their own pension funds. Verithala watched as Rextal's perfect battle line began to fall apart. Some ships advanced, others stayed back, and a few actually moved away from the battle. This is Commander Sektal of the vessel Void Reaper, came a voice from Rextal's own fleet. Sir, I cannot attack the Andromedan research vessel Starseeker. My family's retirement fund owns shares in their parent company. This is Captain Morden of the Death Striker. Lord Commander, the civilian vessel Peaceful Trader carries my daughter. She works for a human shipping company. One by one, Rextal's own captains began finding reasons they couldn't attack the human fleet. The mighty Zephyrian armada was paralyzed by economics. Traitors! Rextal screamed. All of you! I'll court-martial every one of you! That's when President Carter played her final card. Lord Commander Rextal, she said formally, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with Section 847 of the Galactic Commerce Code? What? No, I don't care about commerce codes. You should, President Carter said, because Section 847 says that any military action that deliberately destroys more than 100 billion credits of civilian assets is considered an act of economic warfare against the galactic community. Admiral Torres's voice joined the conversation. And according to Section 851, economic warfare requires approval from the Galactic High Council. Did you get that approval, Lord Commander? The silence on the communication channels was deafening. Ryan Murphy's cheerful voice broke the quiet. Oh, and by the way, we've been broadcasting this entire conversation to every government in the galaxy. Live coverage. They're all listening. New voices began speaking. Important voices. Government leaders from across the galaxy. This is High. Chancellor Morek of the Galactic Trade Federation. Lord Commander Rextal, you are hereby ordered to cease all hostile actions pending a full investigation. This is Supreme Admiral Kethos of the Andromedan Defense Force. Rextal, withdraw your fleet immediately or face economic sanctions. This is, but Rextal wasn't listening anymore. He cut off all communications and ordered his remaining loyal ships to attack anyway. Only 5 vessels responded. The rest of his fleet either withdrew or refused to fight. The battle that followed was brief and strange. 5 massive Zephyrian warships against 200 human and alien vessels. It should have been a massacre, but the human ships didn't fight like any enemy Rextal had ever faced. They swarmed around his ships like angry bees, hitting and running, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. They used captured Zephyrian technology modified with human improvements. Their shields danced and shifted, their weapons fired from impossible angles, and their movements followed no pattern at all. This is madness! Rextal screamed as his flagships' shields flickered under dozens of small attacks. No, came Verithala's voice over the channel. This is evolution. Rextal's voice turned to pure hatred. Verithala, you treacherous wretch! I'll see you executed for this. Maybe, Verithala said calmly. But first you'll have to explain to the High Council why you started a war without permission and tried to destroy half the galactic economy. The end came suddenly. Rextal's flagship, overwhelmed by the swarm tactics and abandoned by most of his fleet, finally surrendered. The other 4 loyal ships followed suit. 3 days later, Varathala found herself in the strangest meeting of her life. She sat at a round table with human leaders, alien trade representatives, and even some of Rextal's former officers who had joined her rebellion. President Carter smiled at everyone around the table. "So, where do we go from here?" "The old system is broken," said Trade Director Veltar of the Centauri Mining Consortium. "Rextal proved that. Military conquest doesn't work when everyone's economy is connected." "We need new rules," agreed Financial Minister Kektos. "Rules based on cooperation instead of domination." Ambassador Dan Peterson leaned forward. "What if we formed a new organization? Something that manages trade disputes without warfare?" "The Galactic Economic Council," suggested Dr. Lisa Chen, "with representatives from every major trading species." Varathala listened to the discussion with amazement. These beings were literally rewriting the rules of galactic civilization, and they were doing it together as equals. "What about enforcement?" asked Admiral Torres. "What happens when someone breaks the new rules?" General Stevens grinned. "Economic sanctions. Cut them off from galactic trade until they behave." "But what if they have a strong military?" asked one of Rextal's former officers. "Doesn't matter," said Ryan Murphy. "Can't eat warships, can't trade with yourself. Military power is useless if nobody will do business with you." President Carter turned to Varathala. "Lady Varathala, you've seen both systems now. The old way and the new way. What do you think?" Varathala was quiet for a long moment. She thought about 800 years of following orders, of collecting debts through fear and violence. Then she thought about the past few weeks working with these strange humans who thought sideways and refused to accept that the strong must rule the weak. "I think," she said finally, "that I would like to be part of building something new." 3 months later, Lady Varathala Moonwhisper stood in the assembly hall of the new Galactic Economic Council. As the first alien member of the Human Economic Advisory Board, she was about to give a speech to representatives from over 300 worlds. "Friends and colleagues," she began. 6 months ago, I came to human space to collect a debt. I expected to find weak beings who would surrender to superior force. Instead, I found teachers who showed me a better way." She looked out at the audience. Beings from dozens of species, all working together to build a new kind of galactic civilization. "The humans taught us that strength doesn't come from the ability to destroy. It comes from the ability to create connections, to build relationships, to make yourself valuable to others not through fear, but through cooperation." In the back of the hall, she could see her human friends. Ambassador Peterson with his kind eyes, Dr. Chen with her brilliant mind, Admiral Torres with his unconventional wisdom, and Ryan Murphy with his sideways thinking. "Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history," Varathala continued.